Okay, so good evening. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. We are very pleased to be able to welcome those of you who took their time out and registered for the event. So, a little bit about myself. I am Sayantani Dev, a Beta Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, also a Google Developer Student Club lead of this tenure, a Harvard WeCode scholar, a mentee at Codedesk Cafe, and also a Microsoft Engage mentee. So now over to you, Rahul, if you'd like to continue.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Rahul Khinchi and I'm currently a GDSC lead. I'm also a beta Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador as Sayantani is. And we are hosting this event as a beta Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. A little introduction about me that I'm a GSOC 2020 student and a GitHub campus expert. Also, like I'm interested in DevOps. So yeah, looking forward to having conversation with you all. Thank you.
That's a wonderful introduction. So moving along. So the agenda, sorry for the spelling mistake. The agenda for the today will be introduction to Codespaces, followed by some hands-on session on Codespaces. You will learn about how to actually use Codespaces in real time and what all benefits you can get out from there. Then you will be watching the GitHub Universe keynote, where we would be joining the GitHub CEO Thomas Dohmke for the 2022 opening keynote from the Yerba Buena Stage. Following along, we would have a Kahoot quiz, and based on its result, there would be also a giveaway. So stay tuned till the end. Also, a big announcement. Students who will be there till the end of the event will only be eligible for the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador certificates and also eligible for the giveaways. So if you are just here and there, I mean, you're cutting out of the meat, you will not be eligible for any of the giveaways which is pertain to the event. So going forward with the event, introduction to GitHub Codespaces. Now, uh, with what we will be learning about Codespaces are basically what it is, why do we actually use Codespaces, and how to set it up, which Rahul will help us step by step so that you guys don't have any doubts or anything regarding it. So now, what is Codespaces? It is basically a development environment that's hosted in the cloud. You can customize your project for GitHub Codespaces by committing configuration files to your repository, often known as configuration as code, which creates a repeatable codespace configuration for all users of your projects. So we know by now we got to know that it's a remote compute instance, but that is something we already have, right? So what's special about it? It is a remote environment. So what is exactly a remote environment and what benefits can we get out of it? So while talking about that, it is basically access without having a physical access. When we talk about that, it basically means that we don't really need to download any IDE or compiler to run our code. For example, we can have Visual Studio Code without even downloading it in our system. Now, next benefit is the convenience. You can start coding anywhere, anytime without thinking about the prerequisites of having an ID or a compiler. And third most is affordability, which is a really big thing as we students are on a very remote budget. So we no need to buy or install anything to run our code. No need to even update our PC when everything is online. The fourth most point is the storage. There is no storage space used. Your work gets directly stored in cloud. So this points basically sums up that code spaces must be like the ever booming technology which has come to the new environment. Okay, now uh, how is it special? So, talking about it being special, it is obviously a game changer for developers because it is a remote compute instance. So in this case, it is a remote compute that has a development base. Since it has a development base, so it will serve as a ready to go template where your source code, editor, extensions, project dependencies, commands, and configurations have already been downloaded, installed, and applied so that you don't have to wait for this task to finish each time you create a new code space. In short, unlike traditional remote computes, this is mainly focused for development. So, all of you folks here attending the event today, whoever is interested in the development, please go around and check the new Codespace features. It is like a game changer for you guys and will really help you along the journey. Now, coming along, there is a link to explore all the features of the Codespace. So I'll request all the attendees of the meeting to just copy paste this link and explore for yourself that all the features that Codespace is providing from GitHub, and you can also play around with it. Along with it, there is also a big announcement right up from the headquarters of Microsoft. Now, CodeSpace is free for all the students. That is, students with will have 90 hours per month access to it instead of 60 hours per month. But it's only available for those students with valid student ID. So make sure to get yourself verified and also take use of the benefit offered. Along with this verification thing, which comes a very important, that is the GitHub Student Developer Pack. So all those people who have still not yet redeemed your GitHub Student Developer Pack, please go and redeem it, because there is also access to Canva premium domain names and a lot more stuffs for free only for students. So you will have a lot of benefits out of it. So now moving along, why should I use Codespaces? Well, why not? Because it's undoubtedly the blazing first cloud developer environments backed by high performance containers that start in seconds. So now you don't really have to wait for your code to run or see it in a live server due to your slow computer. It has all the features of VS Code and more. So you don't even have to think about having a PC which can uphold and have all the prerequisites for a code to perform. Since all the extensions of VS Code are here and it uses the full power of VS Code, so code spaces are really a replacement of offline IDs and compiler in the future world. Now, talking about a lot of theory, let's set up the code spaces. So from over here, Rahul will take over.
Yeah, that was a wonderful introduction about Codespaces, Anthony. Appreciate it. Yeah. And before starting, I would like to um, first tell everyone hi. And now we will see that how we can set up Codespaces and how to actually work with Codespaces. But before that, can I get a thumbs up in the chat box so that I can see if people are really interested here to learn something? I can't see any thumbs up right here. Yeah. Okay, yes, there are. Right. Okay, then let me just share my screen. Yeah. Uh, Sayantani, can you please tell if you can see my screen?
Yeah, you're visible, Rahul.
Right. So starting with code spaces. So as Anthony told that what code space is. So to understand it properly, you might know that there are virtual machines of Azure clouds or different cloud platforms that gives us virtual machines, and there are some VMware or VirtualBox that provide us a help to create a virtual machine. So you can understand it like a code space is also a virtual machine, but it is something which is on a browser that every person can use. And the most important benefit of Codespace is that imagine that I have a 2 GB or 4 GB RAM laptop and I need to run a big software, for example, Android Studio. Now, if you are aware of Android application or development, you might know that to run an Android Android application, Android Studio, or to run a Kubernetes server, it is very important for us to have a high configuration laptop. But with Codespaces, you can run any of these things by creating a high configuration Codespace browser, so a virtual machine with the help of your browser only. Before that, Sayantani, can you please add people? They are waiting in the lobby.
Yeah, yeah, on it.
Yeah, okay. So that was it. So we'll just start that what a Codespace actually is. So for example, this is my university chatbot repository. Now, if I want to use this repository, but I don't have a laptop with high configuration, and I need to use use this repository or use this code, and I want to work in it, or else let's understand that if you want to work in an open source organization and you want to contribute to it, but you think that your laptop is not that much good that you can perform that much things with your laptop. But now Codespace provides you, it is like an limitation that we had before, but Codespace is clearing that limitation. So for that, just like we put our code into locally by the help of uh, cloning the repository. But here in the code space, we don't have to clone, we don't have to put our code into like locally. We can edit this code with the help of code spaces in a browser only. And believe me, this is not something which we can do with the help of only laptop. We can either do with our iPad or tablets and mobile phones too. So it is great that if I'm in my college and I'm in my university and my teacher is not teaching me good, I can just contribute to open source with the help of my phone. Is it as good as that? So for example, this is my code and I want to use this code and I want to, let's say that this is an open source software and I need to contribute to it, but I don't have a high configuration laptop. So what I can do is I can just create a code space of this. Code space, the word actually means code in space. So having a code in the space, just like having a code in your cloud, having your data in the cloud, this is something like that. Codespace is a cloud deployment software only. So just like you have virtual machines, it is your virtual machine, but it is different from the virtual machine because virtual machine have their own OS, their own hardware, but this code space will only contain your repository and how you can edit or push your repository and how you can make changes. We'll just see into that. First, if I click here, they ask me to like if I want this code on my local or on my code space. So now I have an option of code space, and if I just go to the options, there are a lot of options like configure dev container, set up pre-builds, manage code space, and what are code space. So let's understand that this is the like main UI of Codespace, and here you will get all the spaces that you have created. Now you might think that okay, I understood that this is Codespace, but what if I'm a machine learning developer or I'm someone who don't want to contribute to open source, but I want to use Codespace? So the first thing, you can use Codespace if you are in your college. You can just like maintain a collaboration with your friends, or else if you are in a different tech stack. For example, you want to use Jupyter Notebook, but that Jupyter Notebook is not in your local and you don't have a good network, so you can't download it. But if you have good spaces, you can just take the template of the Jupyter notebook and you can use it. It is as simple as that you already have all these things that Codespace has bring to you. You just need to click and you need to use it. So now you might all know that whenever, for example, if I have something, if I have the code 4 years back and if I want to use that code now, but the thing is, if I will use that code, they will ask me that those were the versions which are previous versions, they are now depreciated. It means that new versions have come. So now if I want to use that code, I need to install the new version. I need to change the code. I need to perform most of the things to run the code. But with the help of code spaces, they have something like dev containers, which is development containers. And development container is a Docker container. Uh, just a little quick introduction about Docker if you are not familiar with it. Docker is something which is for example, you just like I said that if you don't have if you want to run something and if you don't have any like there might be an issue of versions. So Docker creates an image of that application and you can just run in any application and you can use it. So there are containers. For example, you have Node.js, you have database, you have DevOps, CI/CD pipelines. So it makes a container and it connects all that thing and with this, it creates Docker creates an image, and it can like you just need to download that image and you use it. So with the help of this dev containers, you can just create your own configuration that what actually my application should look like. So now see, if you might have used this, like if you might have created a web development or Android development app, you need to like make it locally. Then you need to like put all the things, like you need to specify the port number, all the stuff. You need to for if you aren't familiar with ngrok, you need to open the ngrok, you need to create the database. But with this, you can specify your all the configuration with in one file, and you can use it. So this is what dev container is. And then another option that we get is pre-built configuration. So pre-built configuration is something that if I use pre-built configuration of code spaces in my repository, it means that whatever changes I do, for example, if I want to add my code, if I am versioning, upgrading my versioning, for example, if I have a web development app and I want to add a university chatbot in my app. So I don't need to create a code space again and again. What I can do is I can just pre-build the configuration of my code space with this repository. So now whatever changes I do, I can it will reflect in the code space. So I don't need to make a code space again and again, right? So that was pretty much about code spaces, and like you can get all the documentation that how you can use for the particular tech stack, be it Node.js, Python, Java, or any of a language which you like. Yeah, so that was pretty much about it. And understanding making a code base now. For example, this is my university chatbot, and I need to create a I need to create a code space. I just need to click here. It's simple as enough. And now they will ask me that what core I want, what RAM I want. For example, currently my laptop is a 16 GB RAM, but I want to use a 64 GB RAM. So now you're getting that, like if I have 16 GB RAM and if I want to use 64 GB RAM, I can't do it locally, but with the help of code spaces, I can do it. So this is the code space that I have already created. So let me just delete it. All right. Yeah. So just making a code space. Right. So this is the code space. Now you can see that this is the actual code. It is like setting up, so it will take a 2 minute time. So now you can see that this is my code, and here I can see my code. This is the actual code which is here. This is all my code which is in my repository. Now there are two options. One is downloading it locally, and one is here. So now you know that this is very easy for me to make any changes right here only. If I don't have my own application here on my local, I can just put all the changes in my browser with my even my mobile phone or my laptop or any device. I can just do all the changes. I can push it on my repository, and yes, we are done with this. So that's how CodeSpace work. So yeah, you should like you should explore it. And let's take an example of having someone else. So for example, this is one of my friend, and if I want to use his code, okay, so what I'll do, I just fork it, and yeah, create a fork. And now I want to use his code. So I'll just go to code spaces, I'll create a code space, and I'm done. Now I have his code. Now I can change all his code, but it will be a copy in my repository that whatever changes I need to do, if I want to learn something, I can do that with this. So this is the best part about CodeSpace is you can use it, you can use anyone's code, you can create a code script in your browser, and this is the VS Code. But if you are someone who loves Intel IJ, who loves Jupyter Notebook, you can create your own editor. This is the best part about Codespace, that this is not editor specific, that it will only use VS Code. It will use like whatever you want, whatever you wish to create, you can use it with the help of Codespaces. So that was pretty much about the hands-on of Codespaces. I believe that after this, we will be watching a 48-minute video about GitHub Universe, which is by like the CEO of uh, GitHub, Damien Barry, and like Rizal Scarlett, Maya Rose, and Thomas Dohmke, who is the CEO of GitHub. They all are here to guide us that what Codespace actually is. And believe me, watching this video, we like I know that for some people this might be boring, but to understand that if like we know you all might know that whenever we think that we will learn something tomorrow, and we face a procrastination that we will do it tomorrow, and that tomorrow never comes. But this is the opportunity that we are getting, that we can watch this video together, clear our doubts, get our hands on, so we can understand that what are the actual things that are required. And these are the conferences that we can't attend. Like we can attend those events, but these are not for everyone, or these are paid. But today we have the opportunity to watch it for free, to understand that how people talk. This is not just that we need to understand about code spaces. We can also understand that how to give a speech, how to actually explain something to the lot of peoples. So there are different skills that you will get to know. So stay connected. Please watch this video. It is very important, and it is by the CEO of GitHub. So uh, you will surely get a lot of learnings. Before I start, Sayantani, would you like to add something?
I think that was a wonderful hands-on for code spaces. Nobody could have done better than you. So yeah, really, thank you for that. And I think we have a very limited time right now, and we should start with the keynote and should see what the GitHub CEO has offered to say.
Uh, just to just to ask, can you describe?
Yeah, it's audible.
Okay, then I'm starting it.
Wow. Woo! Good morning. Hello, GitHub Universe. It's so great to be here in person. This is amazing. And a big hello to everyone watching remotely. I'm Thomas, and I'm a developer. And there's nothing better, nothing more energizing to me than being in a room full of developers. Like so many of you, through every stage of my life, my greatest passion has always been to build with code. It started in my childhood, writing simple programs in BASIC. And then in university, I was using SUSE Linux and Emacs. In my mid-20s, I was working in an automaker, and it was Windows PC and Visual Studio. And now, today, I think I'm still in my late 20s, it's all on GitHub. It's now a code space, spinning up on my iPad, even when I'm at the airport. So much has changed, and since the rise of the internet, open source has been the engine of it all. Open source powers the world, and even those that didn't like open source to begin with are now on board. Companies, large and small, are using GitHub side by side with the open source community to build their own products and bring their big ideas to the world. And it's all of you together that have fueled this global economy. Now, let me share something very special. 10 years ago, for the very first time, we published the Octoverse and reported just 2.8 million developers on GitHub. 2.8 million. A year ago, we were at 73 million, and I'm more than thrilled that as of today, now 94 million developers call us their home. But despite how fast software development has advanced, despite how much we have all grown, how much GitHub has grown, there's even greater change just ahead. I believe we have arrived at the most significant turning point in the history of software development. And the past few years have made it clear we now live in a world fully eaten by software. Every day is punctuated from beginning to end through our interactions with software. From the moment in the morning your alarm goes off, to your commute and your day at work, and maybe you don't even have a commute anymore, to the second you set your alarm again to go to sleep, you cannot escape using software. And building, running, and maintaining all the software for the world has never been more complex. As a developer, you can't just build a great product anymore. You have to do it securely. You have to do it fast. And you have to build 100 times a day. And in all of this, developers are still expected to deliver the best creations of their life every single day. And as a developer myself, having to do all this work and stringing together or self-hosting all my own tools sure as hell isn't something that I want. It's not solving my problems. It's not putting the developer first. We are at a breaking point, and it's time for a change. It's time to iterate and build a new developer experience. And it's no longer about how we can equip developers with the tools to do more for the sake of doing more. Now we must equip developers for everything they need to be at their best and to be happier. Right? That's what we want, be happy. Because developers do their best work where they can actually enjoy the work they want to do. When they have innovations that take the weight off, not add more, and when they have one integrated platform to do it all. One place that enables the flow state where the magic happens. And as the home of all developers, we have made it our mission to build this one integrated platform where developers can do it all. And it all starts with code.
Welcome to GitHub Universe 2022.
All right. Ever since we launched Copilot, it's helped redefine productivity for millions of developers by introducing them to the magic of AI assistance. For example, instead of us searching the web for a complicated regular expression, we can simply type a comment that describes what you need and let Copilot do the rest. Or if we wanted to send a text message with Twilio, Copilot can help us generate the entire function that calls it, even if you've never used this API before. But the thing that amazes me the most is just how good Copilot is at understanding context, sometimes when you least expect it. Check this out. Here, we have a P5.js canvas, and as we press tab, Copilot helps us to draw a greenhouse with a red door and a blue roof with 2 windows. But like, where did these specific colors even come from? If we scroll to the top of the file, we'll see that we wrote a comment describing the colors of each of these objects. Nothing gets past Copilot. This sort of behavior is why we refer to Copilot as an AI peer programmer, because its understanding of natural language and code gives you way more than just a productivity boost. It helps you to focus on the business logic over boilerplate and discover ideas you might not have otherwise considered, all from the comfort of your editor. Copilot is available now, and it's being used by hundreds of thousands of developers every day. And if you're a verified teacher, student, or maintainer of a popular open source project, it's completely free. In fact, roughly half of Copilot users receive Copilot for free as a result of this program. And as more developers have adopted Copilot, we've been happy to see how impactful it is in practice. For example, among developers who are using it with Python, aka my Pythonistas, 40% of the 40% of the code they write was actually synthesized by Copilot. We also ran a study with 95 developers, and we split them into 2 groups, and we asked everyone to write an HTTP server. And to our surprise, the group that used Copilot was able to complete the task 55% faster than the group that didn't. But beyond the developer excitement, we've also heard loud and clear that companies want an easy way to purchase Copilot for their entire team. So, we're excited to bring the benefits of Copilot to every organization with the release of Copilot for Companies, coming this December. This will enable you to manage licenses and policy from a central location using your existing GitHub organizations. So whether you prefer Visual Studio Code, IntelliJ, or Vim, developers and students alike are experiencing the amazing benefits that Copilot and AI assistants can provide. And we can't wait for you to try it out as well. GitHub is committed to ensuring that Copilot is truly available for everyone. So I want to give you a sneak peek of something we've been working on that takes the next step towards this goal. Watch this. Hey, GitHub, let's write some code. Import a graph plotting library, a function to analyze the sentiment of text with a free web service. Change it to return a Boolean, a function to plot an array of Booleans as a pie chart, an array of example text, a function to put it all together. Call main. It's behind, sorry. Call main. Hey, GitHub, run program. And that was Hey, GitHub. With the power of your voice, we're excited to bring the benefits of Copilot to even more developers. GitHub is renewing its vision to be the home for all developers, and this is just one of the many steps we'll be taking to make that a reality. Hey, GitHub is an experiment, and we'd love to get your feedback, so sign up now to get access. Hey, GitHub, drop the beat.
With the new GitHub issues, planning and tracking is at the core of how high-performing development teams operate. And at GitHub, we believe developers deserve a planning tool that's centered around them, one that seamlessly integrates with their existing workflows, and more importantly, something they actually enjoy using. That's why we've enhanced projects in GitHub issues to be developer-first and truly adaptable. Here's a product backlog, where several teams across the product are working together to ship multiple features. Each view in this board shows a different perspective, and is adaptable to the needs of whoever is using it. Our sprint planning lives as a board view, so we can visualize how work flows from one week to the next, while scope gives us a table view to quickly see items in every release stage. But what if we want to see how items track across dates? Previously, you'd have to leave projects and copy start and end dates for work into a spreadsheet or other tool. But today, we're introducing the private beta for Roadmap View, a native way to keep your stakeholders up to speed on what's being worked on, what's next, and how those items span across time. And you can even update your view from month to quarter to year. So as we dive into one of these features, you can see it's broken down into scopes using task lists. For this feature, we have 3 task lists: scoring, design, and boss updates. I think they forgot a design task here, though, for when the user fails the level, so let's add a draft task to remind them. Now, many tools hard code sub-issues or children to only support 1 level. But remember adaptability? With GitHub projects, we can have multiple levels. If I click into Save Score, we can see that it has its own task list, and that first task has its own set of tasks. I can traverse across this hierarchy from feature to scope to task to subtasks with ease. And the breadcrumb navigation lets me quickly go back to any level. So let's switch to our feature delivery project, which tracks the status of items about to be released. You can tell this is a different project because it has custom fields and unique views. For example, there's a progress field letting us know if anything's at risk of slipping. And even from this high-level view, we get insight into issue relationships with the tracks field, allowing us to scan for subtask progress. And if we move into our releases view, which is grouped by tracked by, we can see all the issues that roll up to a particular release. I'm so pleased to say you can join the waitlist to try this out today. And if I need to update my team's plans on the go, the GitHub mobile app now supports projects in iOS and Android, allowing me to assign items or update fields right from my phone. GitHub Issues not only adapts to your current planning processes, it encourages you and it enables you to evolve and iterate as you go. With over 100 new features and along with our new betas, now is the time to give GitHub Issues a try.
Sometimes I just want to dig right into the code to get my bearings without muddying up my local machine and cloning a bunch of random repositories. So let me show you a new code navigation experience we have in private beta to help with that. I've heard about this new fast-loading web framework, Fresh, based on Dino, but I haven't had a chance to play with it yet. Across all of GitHub, I can search by language and my keyword Dino. This chat app looks interesting, and it's based on the Fresh framework. Now, let's see if we can find this button, New Room, in the code. I type it into our repository search, super fast, and look at that. There it was, so fast. Filters make it easy to find exactly what you need based on common criteria like language, path, or symbol. And we can also drill into a specific file, view symbols, and navigate to definitions and references. So now you can discover the context around the code and see answers to questions you didn't even know you had. But let's look at another tool that helps me roll up my sleeves and dig into the code, Codespaces. Codespaces are powerful developer environments in the cloud, spun up in seconds and completely configured for your project. The Codespaces dashboard has a curated list of templates to get you started quickly. Now, I've been wanting to play with Preact, but I don't want to risk breaking my local laptop installing a bunch of dependencies. Luckily, Codespaces has already done all of the configuration for me, so I can focus on learning and building, not setup. From the Preact template, in a single click, you can spin up a pre-configured cloud-based developer environment personalized with your themes and dot files. Index.js is already open, so I can simply make a change and get tinkering quickly. And there it is. Now, it might seem like magic, but the secret is config as code. The dev container JSON file defines how your project will build, display, and run. So every developer of this repository, every user, has the same delightful experience every time. Now remember, I didn't fork Preact. Templates let me get started quickly on my next project without needing to create a fork or repository first. Speaking of my next project, I've been wanting to explore Stable Diffusion, an AI model that allows you to generate images based on a prompt, but it doesn't run on my laptop yet. Luckily, GPUs for Codespaces are now in private preview. And not only that, I can choose which editor I use. I can now use Codespaces in VS Code or IntelliJ on my local desktop, or I can even open in Jupyter Lab. Now, this astronaut riding on a horse was cool, but what about that rainbow corgi in space? And in just a few seconds, I'm ready to make some AI. I know, it's so cute. I am ready to make some AI-generated art powered by my personal GPU in the cloud. Okay, that's a cute corgi, right? And just the image I need. Since becoming available last year, we've heard success stories from thousands of developers using Codespaces within teams and enterprise. But this is GitHub. We want to make the possibilities offered by Codespaces available to every developer. So today, I am thrilled to announce that Codespaces will be available for all GitHub users with up to 60 hours of free usage every month. So excited. The worst feeling as a developer is getting stuck before you can even get started. So use Codespaces to get in the flow and stay there.
Now I want to talk about the heart of GitHub, the open source community that powers our modern world. Open source developers build tools for the rest of us, so our job is to build the tools they need to succeed too. Over the last year, we've been hard at work to make a developer's daily community experience truly excellent. GitHub Discussions enables thousands of communities of all types to connect and build together. The GitHub profile is now fully customizable and celebrates your achievements, reflecting your unique developer life. And now, with our new privacy settings, you can control what you share online, while still being able to contribute publicly to open source. And 3 years ago, we launched GitHub Sponsors to help fund the global team of volunteers that build open source software, the ones that we all depend on. Since the open source economy on GitHub has flourished, we've doubled the number of regions served by sponsors to 68, and all of you have contributed over $25 million to open source developers and projects. That's the power of community. It's made it possible for thousands of developers to pursue their passions and contribute to open source full-time. But we often hear, more developers want to take this leap, quit their jobs, work for the internet. GitHub wants to help. And we know that we need to build an open source economy on developers' terms. So I want to discuss 3 ways we're tackling this. First, projects need durable funding over the long term, a role that companies who depend on open source can and should play. We want to lead by example here, so we're supporting our own stack. This past summer, we contributed $500,000 to the dependencies that GitHub needs to run its own software. We funded 900 people across the world and allowed them to spend more time on their projects, fixing lingering bugs, patching that security flaw, or sketching out their next release. Let's hear from some of the developers.
I received the grant from GitHub around July this year, and it really motivated me to continue doing open source. It was my first sponsorship, so it really made me feel like you can do this maybe for a living in the long run, right?
GitHub opening up the sponsorships is what allowed me to get noticed.
P5.js is an open source JavaScript library that has more than 1.5 active million users. This is a job like 24/7. So being supported by different organizations, I think provide us the space to sometimes to take a break.
Corporate sponsorships are really important. Getting that recognition as far as like my career goes, it's one of the best things on my resume, no matter what I've launched or what I've done.
Nick, Chan, and Fran said it just right. Companies sponsoring open source means that many more developers can take a much needed break, branch out into a new project, or jumpstart a career. This is exactly what we want to support. And we want to give developers more options on how they fund their work. With companies like these participating in sponsors, we know we can. Which brings me to our second step. Building a career in open source is uncharted territory. Who do you talk to first? What are you asking for your sponsorship? Where should I focus? Unlike most careers, there's no predictable path to follow. Last year, we launched an experiment in India called OS Grants. We gave 15 developers a simple grant that afforded them the time to focus on building their open source projects. And the results, a year later, are fantastic. As just one example, Peter Thomas used his grant to formally work on Karate Labs, which is a venture-backed startup today. We want to expand on this program globally, and that's why I'm proud to announce the GitHub Accelerator. We're going to fund 20 maintainers that want to commit to a full-time career in open source. Starting with a 10-week program, we'll provide a cash grant and mentorship from the GitHub team, open source experts who have pioneered in this space, and enterprise sponsors, where they can build a durable set of funding for the long term. Check out the application. Yeah, we want more people in this. We'll be launching our first class early next year, so be sure to apply by December 31st. We're so excited to experiment with this creative community. Our hope is that each class blazes new paths in open source, so that in the future, many others can fork and follow. Finally, open source companies are born on GitHub every day, and they're melding together the meaning of communities and enterprises building product together. We know the power of these products, and we want to invest in this vital ecosystem. So I'm excited to announce a $10 million GitHub fund in partnership with M12. We're going to specifically focus on open source dev tools, because if we want open source to be vibrant tomorrow, we got to invest in the maintainers of today. We've already partnered with a company that showcases just what this could look like, Codespaces, which maps open source and company repos so developers can confidently and automatically make changes to their code. We're excited to partner with them, and we want to see a new generation of developer tools built on GitHub. We want to give developers the choice to work on open source full-time, regardless of income, regardless of location. And we hope that today's programs, supporting our stack, the GitHub Accelerator, and the GitHub Fund, will jumpstart a thriving open source economy for projects that can be a developer's passion and their livelihood.
Innovation in software happens to a large degree in the open source domain these days. You want to be part of that, you should be part of open source.
If you look at a Mercedes-Benz car, it is packed with open source components. So it's just natural for us to collaborate with others, and open source is the best model to do that.
In enterprise IT, we have decided to go all on GitHub because it helps us to share the code internally and work with the open source world.
Everyone knows GitHub, yeah. So the biggest platform out there, and that is for us a huge advantage because we do not have to explain GitHub itself. We can concentrate on the stuff that we do with that.
GitHub is for us a platform which integrates every need we have around code, around configuration, about doing our job, building the systems. So we have one platform that integrates easily and that reduces time and gives us the transparency we need. What we automated with GitHub Action is how we build the code. We do the software engineering, we test it, we simulate it, and GitHub is our core tool to make that work.
Organizations and the open source community are turning to GitHub Actions to power their continuous integration and deployment workflows. In fact, over 10 million builds a day are happening with GitHub Actions across Linux, Windows, and Mac OS. So GitHub Actions is the #1 CI/CD platform, and it's more powerful and flexible than ever. So whether you're building a small personal website or a cloud-native, mission-critical enterprise application, GitHub Actions can meet your needs. And best of all, it's closely integrated with all the other GitHub features you know and love. So if you haven't used GitHub Actions yet, it may feel a bit daunting at first. So we've invested in the Getting Started experience with simple but powerful starter templates. But notice these templates don't simply build and test my code. They can also automate security analysis or deploy my app to more than a dozen different cloud services like AWS, GCP, Azure, and more. Now, templates are great for getting started, but let's be honest, how often are you starting from scratch? It's much more likely that you've already got some other CI/CD system in place, maybe under somebody's desk or somewhere else. Now, understandably, the thought of doing it all over again in a brand new platform is not an attractive prospect. So to help with this, we've been working on a new tool called GitHub Actions Importer. With GitHub Actions Importer, we can help you not only migrate your company's automation to GitHub Actions extremely quickly, but more importantly, plan and scope the effort required to do so, and even help estimate your usage based on analyzing your existing platform use. We've already been using it with large enterprise customers that have particularly complex migration requirements, and so far we've had some great success. So far, we've seen that about 90% or more of workloads have been migrated automatically with GitHub Actions Importer. So we're really excited to start rolling that out more broadly in the coming months. So as you build up your DevOps capabilities with GitHub Actions, you'll find that your workflows will grow and become more complex. And in an organization, you want to have a common, repeatable way that applications are built, tested, and deployed. Reusable workflows mean you don't need to repeat yourself, and you can easily maintain consistency. For example, let's say I want to add a new staging environment between testing and production, but make sure that I'm deploying in exactly the same way as I will when we go to production. To do that, I can add a job to deploy to staging and simply point to the reusable workflow I already use to deploy to my production environment. This means I can guarantee the exact same behavior when deploying to both staging and production, and ensure there's no room for configuration drift or all of that copy-pasta logic. I can also call this reusable workflow from other repositories in my organization, or even other organizations. And all this means that I can trust that each deployment is doing the right thing every time. Now, another way that teams can control quality is with pull requests. You can now use GitHub Actions to deploy each pull request to its own temporary review environment. And this enables the team to easily see and interact with the changes before approving, of course, and kicking off your production CI/CD process. Now, of course, before that deployment actually gets in front of customers, you want to make sure that everything looks right. So here, we're using environment protection rules to gate a deployment to production until an appropriate person approves it. This gives us a chance to do a final check or just get sign-off before going live. Now, you can also set environment protection rules to restrict which branches can go to each environment. So you know that only your release or main branch can ever get to prod. Or you could just delay the deployment for a period of time. And it looks like this one's been approved by Thomas. Cool. Thanks, boss. In the past, you could only choose the operating system for your hosted build machines. But sometimes you want a little bit or a lot of extra power. So now you can take advantage of larger hosted runners in GitHub Actions. These runners let you build in Linux and Windows and provide compute with up to 64 cores and 256 gigabytes of RAM. Wow. One customer, Dagger.io, managed to reduce their build times dramatically just by moving to more powerful hosted runners, more than paying for itself. We have also partnered with ARM to make IoT development even easier. I'm pleased to announce that the ARM development tools, including the cross-compiler and ARM virtual hardware, are now available natively inside GitHub Actions hosted runners. So you really can build and deploy in any environment, from IoT to quantum computers to the largest cloud environments in the world. GitHub Actions can help you build, test, and deploy reliably and securely. So GitHub Actions is more powerful than ever, which is why organizations like Mercedes, KPMG, Dell, Shopify, and many more are using Actions to power their builds and deployments. And last year, we donated over 7 billion minutes of GitHub Actions to open source. So whether you're deploying a blog to GitHub Pages, or you're an open source maintainer who needs automated testing, or maybe you're the CTO of a Fortune 500 company who wants a reliable CI/CD solution, GitHub Actions is the answer.
GitHub Enterprise brings all of these features, like Actions, Codespaces, advanced security, and issues, into that complete developer platform, backed by the security, auditability, and compliance features that companies need with that developer experience that you already know and love. You can self-host it with GitHub Enterprise Server, or increasingly have us take care of that for you with GitHub Enterprise Cloud. Now, I recognize quite a few faces in the room from the startups and enterprises that I talk to every day. And you consistently tell me that you're trying to innovate quickly and safely. You're trying to onboard developers and integrate new teams through acquisitions and partnerships fast. You want to give those teams freedom to work the way they want, but also have confidence that your company's billing and security policies are applied consistently everywhere. The GitHub Enterprise account is designed to help you strike that right balance. Developers can work their way, while you, administrators, have full control over policies, like requiring that everyone has 2FA enabled across your organizations. In the last year, we've also made it easier to move independent GitHub organizations into a single enterprise cloud account. So even as your company is growing through things like acquisitions, you don't need to try to spin 9 plates at work every day. You can just spin one with one enterprise account. One plate you might not want to spin at work every day is also worrying about how you give access to the right people, to the right projects, from the right places. And that gets all of the more important, and let's face it, harder, as companies are moving to the cloud with teams working from anywhere. To help you manage that, GitHub Enterprise integrates directly with the identity providers you already use, such as Okta and Azure Active Directory. And now you can use them to provide developers with a dedicated GitHub account just for work that doesn't affect their personal account at all, with enterprise managed users. In just a year since launch, almost 1,000 companies have adopted enterprise managed users. And we've recently added the ability for you to apply IP address access rules directly from your identity provider over those accounts. So your GitHub Enterprise access policies are always going to be up to date with your company. But, you know, as Thomas said, to build faster, you do need the tools now that empower your teams whilst also securing your most valuable assets. With GitHub Enterprise Cloud, you get access to our newest features as soon as they're released. Features like the new fine-grained personal access tokens that massively reduce the surface area of credential leaks by empowering developers with individual repository targeting and over 50 fine-grained permissions, and organization administrators with full control over what access is approved. Or the ability now to track all of those tokens in your enterprise audit log. So if one is leaked, you can see exactly what it's been used for. So that is GitHub Enterprise Cloud. But if you're using Enterprise Server, we've also been shipping hundreds of these features every year to our self-hosted instances, and we're adding even more. Today, I'm pleased to announce the release of GitHub Enterprise Server 3.7. This release includes over 70 new features, like enhancements to reusable workflows with actions, so it's easier to deploy actions at scale with standardized workflows. New enterprise inner source policies that make it easier to collaborate across teams no matter what your compliance needs are. And feature 3 of 70, I promise I'm not actually going to list all 70, the launch of the security overview dashboard for all enterprise customers, so every company and security team can get a single view of risk across your enterprise. So whether you choose to self-host or join us in the cloud, GitHub Enterprise is the best tool to innovate and operate however your business demands.
Security can be complex, but as a GitHub Enterprise user, it doesn't have to be. You can embed the best security tooling directly into your development processes. GitHub Advanced Security empowers developers and security teams like you at over 1,400 companies to build securely by default, right where you're already planning, collaborating, and shipping code, all in GitHub. One of the hardest things about keeping your code secure is the constantly changing attack surface. The software supply chain is the largest attack vector today. Without insights into your code, you may never know that you have vulnerabilities in your dependencies. Dependabot makes this easy. It automatically notifies you of security issues in your code so you can quickly merge to the latest safe version. In 2022, developers updated 50% more vulnerable packages than in 2021, helping to secure 18 million projects in GitHub without the hassle of manual steps. But what about your credentials? Credential breaches are emerging as the most costly attack vector we're facing. That's why we built secret scanning. When we identify a secret, we walk you through how to take an action, like how to remediate or flag a false positive, and you have complete visibility into each secret found. You can even create your own custom patterns to detect secret patterns unique to your organization. But if you're a little lazy like me and also risk adverse, and you want to stop secrets from ever entering your code, you now can, thanks to push protection. No matter where you're working, potential secrets can be blocked before they make it into your code. And if you accidentally push a secret into GitHub, we give you the option to remove it or let your security team know why it should be there. Last month alone, push protection stopped over 1,000 secret leaks, saving teams like you thousands of headaches and thousands of hours on triaging, rotating, and remediating secrets. But what about those unknown vulnerabilities in your code base? With CodeQL, you have a widely adopted solution with a large open source libraries of queries to detect security issues in your own code. Companies like Bloomberg, Uber, Microsoft use CodeQL within their own code, and they share their queries back with the GitHub community. CodeQL already supports some of your favorite languages like Java, C++, Go, and JavaScript. Today, we're making support for Ruby generally available. And at GitHub, we don't just build our security tools, we use them too. Powering the GitHub website is mostly written in Ruby. So we use CodeQL on our own code base. With CodeQL, we've been able to remediate dozens of potential vulnerabilities in just a few weeks and kept far more from entering our code. For developers or security teams whose responsibility spans across hundreds or thousands of repositories, we're here for you too. We're committed to continuing to support you in improving your security posture across all detection types. Security Overview provides you with actionable feedback and insight across every repository you have. I'm excited to announce we're deepening the Security Overview experience with new dashboards on risk and adoption, giving you more insights into your risk posture and highlighting areas that you might be vulnerable because you don't have security features turned on. With this information, you can take action on what matters most to your organization. But it's no longer our own software we have to care about. The world has never been more interconnected. The security of our business's software and the security of open source software has never been more deeply intertwined. That makes every piece of software important. And that means we all have a role to play in keeping open source software secure. That's why in public repositories, we scan for leaked secrets and help to revoke them. Why we provide code scanning via CodeQL for free. Why Dependabot will always be forever free for all repositories and all users. That's why Security Lab researchers will continue to publicly share all discovered vulnerabilities within our open source advisory database. But we still need to do more for open source maintainers and security researchers. Today, I'm pleased to announce private vulnerability reporting. It's a game changer. Maintainers and security researchers together play a critical role in keeping open source secure. It can be really difficult to responsibly share vulnerabilities found in a public project, and we want to make that easier. With private vulnerability, people can now privately disclose vulnerabilities to just the maintainers of the open source project. Together, you can now find a fix, remediate, then publish your CVE, all within GitHub. This dramatically reduces the burden on open source maintainers who are volunteering their time and skill to run our open source projects. Developer and security teams no longer should compromise on agility or need to use out-of-sync tooling to secure their code. With GitHub Advanced Security, security can be something that enables you to ship quickly and with confidence.
This was amazing, right? Woo! 15 years ago, the first line of code was committed to build GitHub, the initial commit. And since then, we've always had one purpose, to put the developer first. Over the years, through every iteration, from the pull request to Copilot, this has remained our mission. Because putting the developer first also puts everybody first who depends on a developer. And 15 years later, we have arrived at the moment where this is more necessary than ever. Today, you have seen our biggest innovations yet across the entire developer lifecycle. From picking up your first task in issues and projects, to booting your dev environment in Codespaces, and then in your code editor, using Copilot to write code more efficiently, to then even using your voice with Hey GitHub. And when you're done with coding, it goes to submitting your pull request, securing your code with advanced security, automating everything, not just CI/CD, everything with actions, to pulling in more than 15,000 integrations from our marketplace. Integrations with the whole developer ecosystem and all of our partners. And through everything, collaborating with the open source community who empower us all. In all these things standing on their own would have seemed like science fiction, like Star Trek, just 15 years ago. But it's what all these innovations are designed to achieve together that is most important to us. Like we've always done, we built this new developer experience, this one integrated platform for one single purpose, to put the developer first. Because ultimately, developers will build their best when they have one single place to do it all. One place with everything developers need to be creative, to be happy, to build a better, more brilliant tomorrow for everyone. And GitHub is this one place, the only place where this is truly possible. Thank you so much for being here today, and thank you even more for coming on the journey ahead with us. Have a great universe, and let's build from here.
Wow, that was an wonderful keynote session. So with this, we come to the end of the keynote. So can I have some reactions from the attendees who managed to stay active throughout the event? Remember, every analysis that you are doing will make sure you winning the giveaway. So everyone who will react to this will make we will see that those active attendees get the giveaway. So yeah. So yeah, can I have some reactions to this if you enjoyed the event? Or even if you want to speak something, raise hand and your mic will be muted. Well, there's a lot of hand raises. So okay, so Rahul, will you like to take questions now or should we go to the Kahoot part?
Yeah, we can go to the Kahoot part, but before that, if anyone anyone want to speak anything or share their experiences with whatever they have seen, they can like share this. This is the opportunity to speak. So does
Okay,
anyone need
so
to share?
yeah, Vishal has raised his hand, so I'm gonna unmute Acha, okay, no, he's gone. So
Yeah.
anyone who wants to speak or ask any questions regarding the event, you are allowed to raise your hand and we will unmute your mic. Okay, I guess there is no such questions. So I guess we can move along with the Kahoot quiz, which will be deciding the fate of the day. And that is very exciting giveaway, guys. So yeah, Rahul, I think you should go forward.
Yeah, so let's start with the Kahoot quiz. So I believe all of you are familiar with how to use Kahoot quiz. If not, just what we can do is we can just start this, and you will get a pin. You have to just put that pin into the your web browser, and we can just start that. So I'll just do that. So you have to just go to the Kahoot.it. Uh, can you please share the link? Okay, I'll do that. And you have to paste this pin ID.
Actually, I guess the chat section is not available to the attendees for now.
Okay, so can they see the screen? Okay, yeah. People have started joining it. We will wait 45 seconds more and then we will start. Okay, I guess the player limit reached because it is yeah, we have to upgrade it Kahoot. So yeah, we can only play with the current people, that is 11. So let's start with it.
So what
Yeah.
is GitHub Codespace? Guys, choose the option color. You will only see the option color and the answers are machine learning development, which is red in color, continuous deployment, blue in color, cloud-based development environment, yellow in color, GitHub software to write code, green in color. Cool. So 6 people answered it correct. Oh, sorry. Yeah, right. Which ID does Codespaces use? Atom, red in color, Visual Studio Code blue, IntelliJ IDEA yellow, all of the above green. Can you commit and push your code with Codespaces? True, blue in color, red, false.
That was pretty easy. Yeah.
Everyone answered it. Wow, that's great. Active attendees. You can only use GitHub Codespaces from your browser. True or false?
Yeah, so GitHub Codespaces can provide memory up to. We are talking about the RAM here. Yeah, so the correct answer is 64 GB. Yes, so it only gives 64 GB, not like many people have answered it wrong. So yeah, it can provide up to 64 GB RAM. And the leading board shows that Hasibul and Yagnish are at the top. You have to set up dev container in order to use Codespaces. Dev container was the Docker container that I was talking about. That we have to use dev container in order to use Codespaces. Do we have to? So yeah, for the people who are done true, it's not necessary. It says that if you want to configure it, then we can do it, or else it will configure it like the default configuration. So yeah, still Hasibul and Yagnish are at the top. So GitHub Codespaces provided cores up to. This is the just like we have Intel Core i7. Also here there are some cores which they provide, which I have talked about while explaining what GitHub Codespaces are actually are. The features of GitHub Codespaces. So yeah, the right answer is 32. Only 3 people have answered right. So let's see. Okay, the scoreboard still remains the same. Now, last 3 questions. What is dev container? That was pretty much like I can say that yes, people might have got confused, but in DevOps, you may also have Kubernetes container, you may also have Docker container, but here we are talking specifically about Dev container. That means it is a Docker container. Yes. So leading board still remains the same. Yeah. GitHub Codespaces is a cloud deployment software and cannot be used for machine learning and data science code. Uh, yeah, it's false. So can anyone so Anthony, can people unmute themselves? Is it possible?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So can anyone
1
tell
second.
me like why they have answered false? Like what is the reason for this question? Yeah, false answer is right, but why? If someone can answer.
All the attendees can unmute your mic. Yeah.
Come on, people, it's your opportunity to speak. We all are here to learn. Yeah, anyways, so just like for this, we have understood that GitHub Codespace is not just for writing code. We also have some already integrated applications like Jupyter Notebook, React.js, Node.js, and many other default configurations. That's why this is all for all the people in all the tech backgrounds, be it DevOps, machine learning, data science. So any developer can use this Codespaces. Yeah. So the last question. Another software like Codespaces. So yeah, just like we have Codespaces, which is the another software which is same as Codespaces. Please don't get confused here. Yeah. So the correct answer is Gitpod. GitHub Copilot is not same as Codespaces. It is different because Codespaces and Copilot is like an automation of the codes, and Codespaces is a platform where you can write the code, but in integrated like in your browser. The correct answer is Gitpod. So let's check out the result. And at the third we have Yagnesh. At the second, we have Pratyaksham. And at the first, we have all the spotlights. Yeah, Hasibul. So the winner of Kahoot quiz is Hasibul, Pratyaksham, and Yagnesh. Congratulations to all the winners and all the participants. Yeah, that was great. Please don't leave here. We have more things to speak. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
if like the winners of the day, if you would like to come and speak one or two, three sentences about your achievement,
and then
you're
it would be
welcome.
really great for us to like understand that we have this event successful. Because if I and Sayantani will only speak, it will not make a value to yourself. So it's your opportunity to speak. Come on, Hasibul, Pratyaksham, or Yagnesh.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes, the event was great, especially the code space part. The explanations were great, and it was very really easy to understand everything.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So moving forward, yes. So now we will like fill this form. Sayantani, would you like to speak something?
So yeah, till now, till now, all the attendees who managed to stay till the end of the event, thank you so much. So we are circulating this form. We will circulate this form, but yeah, how will they get the link?
No, I'll share them. I'll share them.
Okay, okay.
You just explain them. Yeah.
Yeah, so all the participants who are at the meeting right now, please fill up the form and you will receive a certificate, MLSS certificate for successfully completing the event. And also to the winners, you will get a notification about your giveaway. And by the end of the event, we are planning to have a digital photo shoot. So I would request every one of you to open your cameras and yeah.
Yeah. So before sharing this link, I believe that we should first do the digital photo shoot because people will run away after getting the link. So yeah, if possible, can you all please on your camera so we can just click a picture or so that we can share it on our social media accounts that what we have learned today and make it a memorable day. Starting with myself. Yeah. Hello everyone.
Yeah, sorry. I just put the settings that attendees can switch on their camera. So yeah,
Yeah.
everyone is, I think everyone can.
Hello everyone. Others can also on their camera.
Yeah, finally seeing you guys for real.
Okay, I believe other people are not like comfortable owning the camera, but yes, we can see a lot of people there. So that's good. So yeah. So let's wait 10 more seconds if anyone is joining with.
Rahul, can you apply the background effect where the classroom appears? I am not sure quite if it is. No, I don't think so. It happens.
I think you can do that using together mode, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it
Okay,
should
here?
from the three
No,
dots.
not this.
Okay, no.
From the three dots. Oh, what happened to my background?
You have to stop sharing the screen, I think.
All
I
right,
think
I'll
so,
do
yeah.
that. Yeah, so I have to do the large gallery or together mode, is it?
Yeah, it's together mode, yeah.
So I'm stopping the recording. All of the receipts will be available after the meet.